years. The Cubs are on the rise with terrific young talent. Cubs and Cardinals on Baseball Night in America. On a beautiful 79-degree evening in St. Louis, we welcome you to Busch Stadium as two longtime rivals get together, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baseball Night in America. Kenny Albert along with Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci, and Ken Rosenthal. St. Louis Cardinals with 49 wins, best record in all of baseball as they look to get back to the postseason for the fifth consecutive year. Last night, in the first game of this three-game weekend series, a 3-2 victory for the Cardinals in 10 innings over the Cubs. As I welcome in Harold Reynolds. Harold, the Cardinals seem to find a different hero every night.
I'm telling you, Ken, they are so fun to watch. They're going to use all 25 men on the roster. That's what makes them great. But you go back to last night even, 8th inning, they're down 2-1, and Greg Garcia hits his first Major League home run. Yes, from that baseball powerhouse, University of Hawaii, that has Colton Wong. Also, he was his teammate for 4 years at Hawaii. Hits the big home run. But you're right. They do something with their bench, and also the big players are coming forward. Look at this right here, this graphic. 6 different guys have had game-winning hits already for this club. I mean, they are just rolling on all cylinders. They make fundamental plays. They just play great baseball.
And on the other side, the Chicago Cubs with a record of 39-33 in their first year under manager Joe Madden. As I turn to Tom Verducci, and Tom, you look up and down this Cubs roster sprinkled with terrific young talent.
There's so much talent, especially for me, that left-right combination, Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, 25 home runs combined. But remember, a young team still trying to earn their undergraduate degree. And how do you get it? Well, if you're the Cubs, you play in the Central, you need to go through St. Louis. And look at this record the last 5 years. The Cardinals have handled the Cubs here at Busch Stadium. They had one in their hands last night, the Cubs, let it get away. Today, another test for the Cubs.
Well, the Cardinals have won 4 straight. Cubs have lost 3 in a row. They will try and get back on the winning track tonight. Up-and-coming Cubs loaded with young talent. Cardinals with the best record in baseball. It's Baseball Night in America on Fox. Michael Wacha, second in the National League with 9 wins on the season, record of 9-3, earned run average of 2.85, getting set to make his 15th start of the season for the St. Louis Cardinals. Chicago Cubs come in with a record of 39-33, 9.5 out of the National League Central. Dexter Fowler will lead things off, followed by Anthony Rizzo. Chris Bryant, that's third. Miguel Montero in the cleanup spot. Then Starlin Castro. The left fielder, Chris Coghlan, will hit sixth. Bottom of the order, the right fielder, Mike Baxter. The pitcher, Don Roach, will make his Cubs debut. And then Addison Russell, the second baseman, will bat ninth. Defensively for the St. Louis Cardinals, around the infield, Scruggs, Wong, Peralta, and Carpenter. Grichuk in left, Borges in center, Hayward in right. The battery of Wacha and Molina. Cubs and Cardinals, only teams in the National League with winning records both at home and on the road. The Cubs 19-18 away from Wrigley. And how about the Cardinals, guys? A record of 27-7 here at Busch Stadium. Their best 34-game start at home. Ready for this since the 1880s.
Wow.
Not the 1980s, the 1880s.
That is pretty good. Well, you know you're going to see a win when you come to the game as a home fan.
First pitch, center field off the bat of Fowler. Long run for the center fielder Borges. And he makes the catch for out number one.
Well, if you saw the end of the game last night, Tom, I know you were here, you were covering it. Peter Borges slid into home and got kicked in the head pretty good. So what do? You challenge him first thing out the gate.
Yeah, he took a pretty big hit last night. I'm actually surprised he's in the lineup, but he did pass concussion tests. Let me tell you, there's not too many center fielders who can run down the ball the way that Peter Borges does.
One pitch, one out. Here's Anthony Rizzo. The Cubs' first baseman having an outstanding season. 4 for 11 lifetime against Wacha with a home run. He swings at the first pitch and fouls it back, 0-1.
Wasting no time. You know, they don't want to sit around and get that changeup off speed. They're going to try to jump on that fastball early. Problem is if you miss it, then you find yourself in trouble. Now, Kenny, I want to point this out. I'm going to give Tom a little credit real quick, okay? 2 strikes on Anthony. What's he do, Tom? Because you broke this down earlier to me.
You'll see a very different approach right here. The difference in the swing with less than 2 strikes and 2 strikes is major. He sometimes chokes up on the bat. Big difference is the lower half of the body. Gets rid of the big leg kick. Really takes his lower body out of the equation. And that's just all upper body, making it short and simple. Here's the difference. Watch that front leg. Just kind of keep it down there. All upper body here. Fights off the ball out of the strike zone, but gets to another pitch.
He's fouled off all 4 pitches this at bat. Wacha missing low, 1-2.
Well, Ken, I tell you what, the beauty of that is we're in a generation now where strikeouts don't matter, it seems like, to the hitter. He's figured out a way that he's going to cut that down, try to put the ball in play, and he's actually having a very productive year. And he's swinging the bat with 2 strikes as good as anybody in the big leagues.
You know, this is doing damage right here without putting the ball in play. Just making Michael Wacha continue to execute pitches, just fouling off pitchers' pitches.
He's fouled off 5. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat from Wacha to Rizzo. He got him. So Rizzo down on strikes as we take a look at our keys to the game, sponsored by Ford.
Well, in honor of that great arch that we see beyond center field here, the Cubs, the high arching offense, they've got 4 straight without a home run. They need to get back to the long ball. And for the Cardinals, the curvature of Michael Wacha. You talked about the changeup, H. Really, the cutter and the curveball, reminiscent of Adam Wainwright, have been the difference. The Cubs are seeing him for the first time this year. If you're going off the 2013 scouting reports of Michael Wacha, you better get rid of those and update them.
Chris Bryant adding 277, tied with Rizzo for the team lead with 43 runs batted in. Bryant playing at his 65th game. 0-2.
Well, there's been a lot of hype behind Bryant and understandably so. Right here, this takes the nasty breaking ball there. Drops into 1-2 here.
Bryant ground on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts of Rizzo and Bryant. Good start for Walker and the Cards. Set to make his Cubs debut. It's his second major league start. Started one game for San Diego last May against the Rockies in Denver. Originally a third-round pick by the Angels back in 2010. Roach will face Colton Wong, who will lead off, the Cardinals' second baseman, then third baseman Matt Carpenter. Johnny Peralta bats third. Jason Hayward in the cleanup spot, followed by Yadier Molina. Randall Grichuk will bat sixth. Then Xavier Scruggs, Peter Borges, and Michael Wacha for the Cardinals, who are off to their best start since the 1944 season. A record of 49 and 24. Season high 25 games above the 500 mark.
Well, at least you got me in the 1900s this time.
There you go. We've gone from the 1880s to 1944.
We're working our way back.
Moved ahead?
Yeah.
A half century.
Yes. Tell you what, both these clubs have a lot of history, though. You know, you start throwing those kind of dates out there, you realize how long these organizations have been around, or at least baseball being played in their cities. Ooh, that was nasty.
2 balls, 1 strike. Colton Wong batting .289. 3 consecutive 2-hit games for Wong. On the ground to the right side. Roach covering, and the throw is off the mark. Leadoff man on for the Cardinals here in the first.
See, that's the difficult play right there because your first baseman's really aggressive. And watch now, you'll see the wild throw on it. But Anthony Rizzo created this play, in my mind, being a former second baseman. I always think about this, but as hard as he goes here, now you force the second baseman, once he makes that play, to have to throw the ball to the pitcher. And you see his reaction there.
It is an infield hit for Wong, his 7th base hit in his last 13 at-bats. Matt Carpenter at the plate, 0 for his last 8. Wong takes his lead off first, and Carpenter takes a called strike, 0-1.
That's the bread and butter right there for Roach. The sinker down. Has to live knees and below. It's a guy who I'd be a little bit concerned about, because he's a sinker ball pitcher on 7 days of rest, made only one start in the last 2 weeks. That generally means he's a little too strong and the ball gets up.
He induces a lot of ground balls. Carpenter fouls it off to the left side.
I want to take you back to the play here. See where the second baseman's at, how far the first baseman goes. Now you force the second baseman in a difficult throw instead of a routine play. Now you force him to have to hit that pitcher on the run. That's why he's a little frustrated. Hey, he's just learning second base. Never played over there. He's a shortstop by trade. And that will be one of the most difficult plays to figure out and master. The more they play together, the more Anthony Rizzo will understand his range to the left for Russell, and he may not range quite as far.
Nothing in 2 on Carpenter with Johnny Peralta waiting on deck. Pitch from Roach is high. Throw down to first. And Wong able to get back.
Little snap throw. Watch him come here and just get barely gets back. He scoops that ball. That's one of those balls looks like it's going to bounce. That's why you see him kind of knock it down instead of catching it in the air. That was a throw behind the hitter.
It's the reverse of this stolen base attempt at third base. You step behind the right-handed hitter.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised you don't see him move the runner here at some point in time. Carpenter handles the bat so well. I know it's 1-2 now, and Wong steals bags.
1-2 fouled off to the left side.
Something caught my eye with Anthony Rizzo, a guy who was hit by a pitch last night. Watch this swing and his reaction after the swing. There's some pain there, and he was compromised last night in his last at bat. We'll keep an eye on that as the game goes on.
Might explain that effort there on the throw down too. Didn't bend down quite well
right
to get that, you know.
Johnny Peralta on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Matt Carpenter with no outs. Bottom of the first inning. Wong the runner on first. How about this, guys? The 1,999th player to wear a Cubs uniform in a regular season game.
Wow. I'd be sitting there hoping I was number 2,000, see if you're going to get a bonus or something, right?
Grounded to the right side. Rizzo gets the lead runner at second. Wong for out number 1.
Well, again, you got that aggressive first baseman, and that's when it benefits you. Watch how far he goes. He gets rid of the ball. This is nice. Now, Wong, I don't know what happens here. He's expecting him to go. He just gets stuck a lot of times early in the game. They water the field down, and it becomes a mud that sticks on the ground. Watch this slide. He'll slide, stick, and it's going to flip him over.
That's a Velcro slide.
Yes.
When it dries out, then you can truly slide.
So with Carpenter, the base runner at first, here's Johnny Peralta, leads the Cardinals in home runs and runs batted in. Harold, I think the Cubs have a contract ready for you. One-day contract to become number 2,000.
There you go. That'd be pretty cool, Honor. That'd be pretty cool. Somebody's going to do it for the years out. We know that. All the roster moves we see today.
Peralta 0 for 4 in last night's game.
You see they've got a little bit of a shift on or an overplay kind of towards the left side of the infield, and he keeps pounding, trying to pitch him inside to get that ground ball.
Roach missing away, now 3-1. Michael Walker retired the Cubs in order in the top half of the inning. Jason Hayward waiting on deck. Base hit into left field. Carpenter to second. So the Cardinals have 2 on with only 1 out. Time for tonight's Game Changer Profile, brought to you by T-Mobile, official sponsor of Game Changers. There's Peralta on the right. He leads the Cardinals in hits, home runs, and runs batted in. Only 3 other shortstops have done it over the course of an entire season in the National League.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody expected him to do this here. You knew he was an offensive player, but to do what he's done, Tom, I mean, he's played at a whole nother level.
And better defense than I think a lot of people give him credit for. Certainly reliable with the glove.
Jason Hayward takes a fastball for ball 1.
Now this guy is the key to the lineup for me, Jason Hayward. That first month of the season was an ugly one. He was a ground ball machine, had a lot of trouble leveraging the baseball to use his power. He has found that in the last month. He's a guy who really changed his swing over the course of the winter. I think it got too mechanical, and I've noticed he's gone back to another setup change in his stance where he's got that barrel a little higher.
This is a good timeout right here by Bosio. Just settle the young man down. Every ball they've hit, if Addison Russell doesn't make a diving play and throw it away, that's another base hit. He's just struggling through, and it doesn't look right now like he's got that put-away pitch.
Well, he really doesn't, Harold. I mean, he's a guy who's going to pitch to contact, throw a lot of ground balls, splitter, curveball, and the sinker.
This is a critical at-bat. I mean, it could be 3-0 in one swing.
On the same token, I think Bosio has to remind him, you're only 1 pitch away from getting off the field. Throw yourself a ground ball.
Yep.
So Yoshi Wada, originally scheduled to start the game tonight, but suffered a cramp in his left shoulder in his last start. So Roach recalled from AAA. A look at Hayward's improvement each month, batting .321 here in June.
And I think a lot of that, too. He played in Atlanta his whole career, grew up in the area. It's the first time really away from home. All those adjustments, those things come to play. We were talking about that before the game at the batting cage, and you know, he wouldn't use it as an excuse, but that's just part of life and the routines you fall into without knowing it. And I think it's been a good move for him. They're looking for any way to get an out. I don't think Carpenter's running here. This is just I'm going to get a secondary lead. You can take that throw in case something happens because the shortstop's already playing in an overplay in that position. So he took the gamble.
Now the 2-0 to Hayward as Roach misses away, ball 3.
You green light him, Kenny. 3-0.
See what Mike Matheny has in mind. He does not. And Hayward takes strike 1.
Yeah, he gave up on that early, too. I don't have a problem with him not swinging right there. Tom, you want him swinging?
I want him swinging. Yeah. I mean, that's right there. Keyhole that area right there, and if it's not there, then you let it go. But be ready.
Now the 3-1. Hayward swings, base hit into right field. Carpenter around third and then heads back. Ball gets away from Montero. Backing up is Roach. Cardinals have loaded the bases here in the first inning.
Well, he got the same pitch, 3-1.
Yep, that's why he took it. That ball's back out over the plate a little bit better. The first one was away. This one's going to be challenging him inside. He's lucky he kept this in the park right there. This ball's hit so hard. Jose Kendall's really aggressive, but you can see right here where he catches the ball in the outfield before Carpenter gets to the bag. And that's usually the key for the third base coach. If he catches that ball and he's at the base or beyond the base, he'll probably send it. If it's before the bag, he's going to hold him up. Depending, of course, Ken, on who's throwing in the outfield.
In that case, it was Mike Baxter, the right fielder. Bases loaded for Yadier Molina. And he takes a ball.
And you see the last couple of pitches, the ball getting up on Roach. That's the danger zone. It really has to be at the knees at the highest point for that sinker to be effective. Joe Madden watching closely.
No, he hasn't got that breaking ball over. And if he doesn't throw a breaking ball for a strike, they're going to feast on him all night. The only saving grace is if he gets good movement and gets a ground ball. But other than that, this could be a long or short inning for him.
He's thrown 23 pitches, 11 strikes, 12 balls to this point. Grichuk on deck, bases loaded. Molina at the plate. Yadier, no hits in his last 7 at bats.
There it is. He got out of it.
Bryant steps on the bag, fires across to end the inning. So the Cardinals load the bases in the first, cannot score a run. Go further so you can. Aerial coverage here in St. Louis provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Top of the second inning, Miguel Montero leading off for the Cubs against Michael Wacha. And Montero takes ball one, working on a 5-game hitting streak in his first season as a Cub, following 9 years as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
A nice pickup for the Cubs. They got him and David Ross kind of platooning at the catcher. Ross more a personal catcher for Lester. Montero getting most of the ABs right now.
Harold, if you're a left-handed hitter and you don't run well, look at the defense, the way they play it. Look how deep Colton Wong is. How much range he can cover there.
There you go.
And it is Wong moving to his left. Throws out Montero for out number one. Well, Harold and Tom, the Cubs building around a bunch of young position players. First baseman Anthony Rizzo, 25 years of age. The shortstop Starlin Castro, also 25 and a three-time All-Star. How about third baseman Chris Bryant, 23. Right fielder expected back very soon. Soler is 23. Kyle Schwarber, 22 years of age. Addison Russell, just 21, made his major league debut earlier this season.
They're very, very young. They're doing a nice job of drafting. And Javier Baez down in AAA, just trying to get back up here. I mean, they're young. They keep coming, too. They did a nice job with young talent. Uh-oh.
Back up the middle, off Wacha.
It looked like it hit his backside, which might be a good thing instead of the arm. Got a little cushion back there where it hit him, at least where I think it hit him.
Let's see.
Well, hopefully he didn't get that arm. There we go. We'll see it from this angle right here. Well, he just tried to knock it down with the glove.
See with his delivery, falls off towards the first base side. Can't really get the glove out in front. His right side entirely exposed to the hitter right there.
Yeah, it looked like at first it was going to hit him in the keister, so to speak. But
is that the scientific term? Is that the technical term?
Yeah, I think that might work.
Okay.
Street term.
Looked like he gave the thumbs up after throwing that pitch. So Walker will hang in there.
There you go. All kinds of sign language happening.
How do you spell keister, Harold?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that one out. Trying to figure that.
So an infield single off the pitcher Walker for Starlin Castro, first base runner for the Cubs tonight. Here's the left fielder Chris Coghlan.
Coughlin's surprising power this year. 8 home runs already. Looks like he's getting in good counts and just letting the bat fly a little bit more. Like that. He used to flip the ball left field all the time. Remember that when he was with the Florida Marlins? A lot of base hits and shooting the ball the other way.
How about this? The Cal Ripken of the major leagues currently.
Oh, gosh. 137.
He's got a few games to go before he approaches Cal.
That's 5% of the way to Cal Ripken's streak.
That's the longest streak in the majors right now?
Longest active streak.
Gosh.
Not even close to your longest streak, Harold, which was, you know?
I have no idea.
195 games.
Is that right?
Back in 91, 92.
Wow. But goodness gracious. You know, last year, the percentage of guys playing 130 games, I think, dropped below 8% for the first time since the 1920s. There's that Coghlan swing we're talking about.
On his way to third is Castro. Stand-up double for Coghlan. Cubs have runners on second and third with only one out here in the second inning.
That's a great play. Might get overlooked by Grichuk out here in left field. But this ball, if it kicks away, we see enough guys not know how to play this corner. He does a nice job. The speed gets over. Right here, this ball can kick and get by him. He did a nice job. It didn't kick too far and got it back in.
Last night we saw Joe Madden bring the infield in early in the game. Tonight, Mike Matheny returning the favor, conceding nothing in a low-scoring environment.
Mike Baxter at the plate, tied his career high with a 3-hit game last night. Baxter went 3 for 5.
I think this is an interesting move with the infield in right now because you have the first inning, you end it with the bases loaded. He didn't have a chance of getting guys out. So you know you got a feeling you're going to score some runs if you're the Cardinals, right? Most times you shut down the first inning or two because the opposing pitcher's not going to give you much room to work with. You know, you may have a Kershaw or a Scherzer or somebody. You're saying, we got to shut them down right now. We're not going to score many runs. So I think you open the inning up. Possibility. Now they're going to go ahead and just put him on.
The pitcher in the 8-hole. There he is, Don Roach. Will take the at-bat, bases loaded.
Interesting. This is one of the scenarios that Joe Madden brought up when we spoke to him earlier, guys, and asked him about the philosophy behind hitting the pitcher in the 8 spot. He specifically mentioned that he could come to the plate with the bases loaded if the number 3 or 4 man leads off an inning.
I'm listening to you, but I was working on my spelling too, Ken. I'm going to come back to this keister here shortly. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm filling you out. I'm getting to know you a little bit up here.
I figured it was either that or trying to put together in your mind why you never made it to 200 consecutive games.
Yeah, Yadier Molina just moved Xavier Scruggs in at first base for this particular possibility. Instead of letting him swing away and ground into a double play, see what can happen. Put the ball on the ground with a bunt.
Well, when Joe Madden was in Tampa, first and third situation.
Yeah, that's different, though, yeah. Bases loaded, it's a force play at the plate.
Absolutely.
But it's almost as if he's signing up for a force play at the plate to avoid the double play.
See, to me, I would have the third baseman charge because he's not going to pull the ball. I would have my first baseman back, anticipating him not pulling a pitch, and my third baseman can cut the ball off. But they're probably thinking if he bunts, he's going to push it towards first.
Now 2-1 on Roach, who has 1 hit in 4 career at-bats. He worked his way out of a bases-loaded jam in the last half inning, now at the plate with the bases loaded.
Well, at least we got action early. Don't you like this better than watching everybody strike out every pitch, every at-bat? A little action.
Now 2-2 with Addison Russell waiting on deck.
Well, I thought it was interesting, the conversation with Joe Madden as to why he hit the pitcher in the 8th spot. And he gave us 3, I thought, very good answers. I know you were talking about that earlier. Those were really good answers.
Still have to defend the bunt here with 2 strikes.
Roach swings away, and it's a base hit into right field. Castro scores. Don Roach with his first career run batted in. Cubs lead 1-0.
Yeah, I didn't like the pitch selection. Nice job of hitting right there by Roach. But go up top with a heater. If you're going to bring the infield in, again, I said the only direction he's going to hit the ball is that way.
And look where Scruggs is playing here.
Yep.
Again with 2 strikes defending the bunt.
I mean, it's going to be a hit either way. Yeah, I'd be high 5-2, man. That's a great at-bat. It's no slouch he got that hit off either.
He's got a career batting average of 400. He's 2 for 5.
There you go. Ted Williams.
So in less than 10 minutes, he worked his way out of a bases-loaded jam on the mound and then drives in the first run of the game with the bases loaded.
Play. Flip it.
The tag and then the throw. So the Cardinals get out of the inning having allowed just 1 run after the Cubs loaded the bases, and it was driven in by the pitcher, Don Roach, who was tagged out by Wong, and then the throw beat Russell at first. To the Data Strong Network. and by Lowe's. Lowe's never stop improving. Back in St. Louis, 1-0 lead for the Cubs. Tonight's game brought to you by Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball. Kenny Albert with Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci, and Ken Rosenthal as Randall Grichuk steps to the plate to lead off for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the second inning. Grichuk 1 for 4, tripled in last night's game. More than half of his base hits this season, 21 out of 38, have gone for extra bases.
He gave him a big spark early with some power. And it'll be interesting when Matt Holliday comes back. Matt Holliday's going to play. He's going to play left field. Grichuk played a little center. They had John Jay before, back and forth with those two.
You think back to the 2009 draft, Harold, the Angels lost both Frankie Rodriguez and Mark Teixeira. They received 2 compensatory draft picks. With the 24th overall pick, they selected Grichuk, and then with the next pick, a fellow by the name of Mike Trout.
Yeah, I mean, they hit the market big. Obviously, Trout went on to be a superstar, but you get a major league player in Grichuk. You get 2 big league guys out of that. That's some great scouting. That's a great draft. I think sometimes, Tom, we look at drafts and go, well, he didn't turn out to be Mike Trout. This guy's a really good big league player and just getting started.
Yeah, to me, he's got skills that remind me of Ryan Braun. I'm not saying he's going to get to that level, but as an all-around player, runs well, throws well defensively. Certainly the power is there.
You see this little Rod Carew tilt in his bat that he has. He's been working on that for about a month now. And he just said one day it felt comfortable and he stayed with it. It looks like he's tilting the bat even more since we saw him a few weeks back.
Has to keep some angel in him, right?
There you go.
They're in St. Louis. Time for a game break to Los Angeles. Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin. All right, thanks, Kevin. Astros first place in the American League West, one of the surprise teams in Major League Baseball this season.
Shoot, how about the Yankees? Talk about surprise teams. Usually don't say that about a $200 million payroll team.
Well, Scruggs sends this one down the right field line. Long run for Baxter. He could not get to it. Well, you talk about the Yankees, Harold, and they're in second place in the American League East, thanks in large part to the success of Alex Rodriguez and his return.
I mean, one of the big surprise stories of the season, what he's been able to do, and he's hit some milestones this year. He's been terrific. Really has.
Tom and I were in Baltimore 2 Saturdays ago when he drove in career run number 2,000.
Yeah, that's the game I was asking to go do with you guys. Tom called me and said, no, I got it.
Where were you?
I got it.
We had a seat
It's cold,
waiting
man.
for you.
Barbecuing in the backyard.
Yep. I turned you guys on every now and then. Uh-oh.
Russell able to make the play. Grichuk back in at first.
Don Roach, really interesting story. He went to the University of Arizona. His freshman season, his ERA was almost 8. Thought about quitting baseball. Transferred to the College of Southern Nevada. There was a kid on that team by the name of Bryce Harper. If you wanted to be seen that year by scouts, that was the place to be. They got drafted in the 3rd round.
Along with not only Bryce Harper, Tom, but 7 other teammates from that Southern Nevada squad, 9 in all, drafted off the team that went to the Junior College World Series in 2010, and Roach was the leader of their rotation with 12 wins that year.
And speaking of Bryce Harper, you remember the great quote, "That's a clown question, bro"?
Yeah.
He got that from Don Roach. Roach was the one on that team who always used the word clown as an adjective.
No clown here. He's going to get out of it.
Safe at first is Borges.
That's a play right there the Castro's got to take himself. You're too close to the base. You got to attack that, take it yourself, and go. Because now he's got to come across the bag and field. Even Russell was going towards the outfield thing. He's got to take it himself. If he takes that, takes a good shuffle, 2 steps, you step on the bag and release as you're touching the bag, that's a double play. He's already lined up. Now you flip and you force him to turn the double play, and that extra air is not going to allow – you're not going to get Borges getting down the line. Not going to happen.
And the difference is you turn that double play, you have Michael Wacha leading off the next inning.
Instead, it's Wacha at the plate here. Borges back in. Wacha 3 hits in 24 at-bats this season. Chop to the shortstop, Castro. So that will do it for the Cardinals in the second. All-Star Game ballot now at MLB.com/vote on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at MLB.com/vote. Look at the leaders in the National League All-Star Game in Cincinnati, July 14th on Fox.
A lot of votes. 9 million votes? Wow. These are record-breaking numbers, right, Tom?
Absolutely. First year of all electronic, all online voting.
Dexter Fowler, first pitch. Yet again, base hit into right field.
Yeah.
So the leadoff man is on for the Cubs here in the third as Anthony Rizzo steps to the plate as we head down to Ken Rosenthal. Ken, Rizzo only 5th among National League first basemen in All-Star balloting.
That's right, Kenny. He's behind Paul Goldschmidt, Adrian Gonzalez, Joey Votto, and the injured Cardinal, Matt Adams. Now, I asked Rizzo about this yesterday, and he was refreshingly honest. A lot of players would say, it's not that big a deal. I'll take the 3 days off. He said, no, I 100% want to be there, but of course, he can't control what's going on with the balloting. He did get there last year, if you remember, guys, winning the final man vote.
Now, the question is, a lot of times guys don't go as the starter, but you do have other ways. Manager can still pick you too, right? Or has that process changed?
The players can pick you too. Finish first in the player balloting.
So, hey.
But that is a very stacked position, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just loaded. Sometimes there's going to be years that you get left off. He's up against some stiff competition. You never know what happens with injuries heading towards the All-Star game. It seems like every year players start to go down. We saw it yesterday with Stanton.
What was the best part about playing in the All-Star game for you?
You know what? Being around all the guys that you grew up watching on TV. That's pretty cool when you're a young player. To all of a sudden go, hold it, what am I doing here? Let alone Dave Winfield over there. That's, Don Mattingly. Wow. Pretty cool. That's the pitch he's going to hurt him on right there, that changeup. That was his grimace swing last time, Tom.
That's a carbon copy of the swing before on the changeup.
I throw it every time. He's going to grimace like that. You got to throw it again, right?
Rizzo reaches out, long run for the left fielder Grichuk, and it drops in foul territory. For more on that grimace we saw from Rizzo, back down to Ken.
Well, I know Harold is an expert at reading body language, but Anthony Rizzo actually is okay. Remember, guys, he got hit by that pitch yesterday. He's just a little sore, that's all.
Thanks, Ken. Just a little sore.
He looks, well, I'm telling you, it's a little sore.
Yeah, I think especially off-speed, reaching for the pitch away. That's twice that we saw it. That was a little more than soreness, that grimace on the face. Could be just on the reach on the off-speed pitch.
Well, and the changeup's a pitch that's going to make him have to stretch out there to go get.
Base hit into right field. Fowler around second, heading for third. Throw is cut off, and the Cubs have runners on the corners.
That's a heck of a challenge right there by Fowler. That's a great baseball play. From where we sit in the press box, that's just power against power. We always talk about that with the hitter and the pitcher. But watch Hayward charge. Look at Fowler. He looks over his shoulder. He knows exactly where Jason's at. He had to jump over the ball. This tells you how fast Dexter Fowler is. Hayward comes up and, throws a strike. Peralta cuts it off, which looking at that angle, I can see it. From up here, I was like, no, let it go. I want to see the throw. Great play.
So Bryant at the plate, struck out his first time up. First and third with nobody out. And when you talk about the athleticism of Fowler, a guy who had the opportunity to play basketball at Harvard.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty impressive. Academic part of it, but not the basketball.
Bryant takes a called strike, 1-1.
I don't know why they came back with fastball to Rizzo. It was a little bit of surprise to me. Here's what was impressive to me. Being down at there during batting practice, Bryant 6'5", Fowler 6'5", Rizzo 6'3". And I swear I was like an NBA basketball camp, sitting there looking up at these trees. Athletic, all run. We just talked about Fowler. Bryant runs really well too. Rizzo, first baseman. It was just how big they were for how young they are.
Two of them are on base, the other at the plate.
You just don't see that kind of a front line, so to speak, on a baseball field. Hello, nice talking to you. Hey, great point, Harold. Outstanding.
Tom?
We need an applause sign for you. You need feedback?
Well, Bryant struck out for the second time, Harold, by the 6'6" Michael Wacha.
There you go. There you go. That's too funny.
Even taller atop the mound.
No, but you know, it's one thing. We talk about height and different angles and all the different things that you come up with. But when you're on the field and you're standing there, and I'm 5'10", 5'11".
Which one is it?
I'm in between. I used to be 5'11". I'm shrinking. But, you know, it's for on a baseball field. When you saw somebody that big, you think of Dave Winfield. That was it. You know, not 3 guys on one team like this and a pitcher 6'6" on the mound. That's 4 guys in a matter of standing within each other within 60 feet.
That's the second mention of Dave Winfield this half inning.
Yeah.
The guy who was drafted in 3 professional sports.
Yes.
You know, interesting to see the pitch out there. I really believe you're aware of Joe Madden in the other dugout. We saw before defending a bunt with 2 strikes on the pitcher, and right there thinking hit and run situation, first pitch. Now Montero has the advantage of the count in his favor.
Carpenter to second, on to first, double play.
Well, Carpenter made that play with a quick exchange, giving Wong an opportunity to turn it.
Second double play in 2 innings, turned by the Cardinals. Devices with MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night, every device. Visit MLB.TV for details. Bottom of the 3rd in St. Louis, Colton Wong leading off for the Cardinals against Don Roach. Wong, an infield single his first time up.
That was the first breaking ball I seen him throw for a strike. Started to settle down a little bit for Roach.
Cardinals loaded the bases against Roach in the first. Worked his way out of it. Induced a double play to end the inning. And then a leadoff walk in the second. But the Cardinals could not do any damage.
I thought it was going to hit him. So interesting game, Tom. What are you seeing so far?
Well, he's flirting with danger a little bit, talking about Roach, a leadoff guy on each of the first 2 innings. But again, pitching to contact. No strikeouts, soft contact, put the ball on the ground.
This one hit in the air, deep center field. Fowler back. He's under it, makes the catch for out number 1. We spoke moments ago with Cubs skipper Joe Maddon. Asked him about some of the fun he's been having managing in the National League for the first time.
Well, it's just the whole thing about the lineup with the pitcher hitting and all that kind of good stuff. We're hitting our pitcher 8th, which makes it even more interesting. There's a lot of components with that I do like. But overall, man, you got to stay involved both offensively and defensively, and it's a more interesting game, I think.
Hey, Joe, I thought it was interesting early when Bosio went out to talk to Roach. What was the approach right there? Kind of calmed him down a little?
Yeah, I mean, it's like getting out of hand right there in the first inning. You can't let that happen. These teams, if this group swarms, they got really good pitching. You're really trying to prevent that really big lead early, and we got out of that nicely. We have had 2 opportunities to add on, and we just got to do a better job right there with runners in scoring position.
Joe, last night the game got away from you. How important is to win here against the Cardinals in St. Louis?
That's what we got to do. I mean, we've been playing really good baseball. I'm really proud of our guys. The next hurdle to get over is to beat the team in first place. This team, with the tradition that they have, to come down here, and we played well. We've lost some games here late. But once we get over on top of them, playing them and beating them here at Busch Stadium, that's going to be a big jump for us.
Thanks, Joe. Best of luck.
You got it.
Carpenter grounded out to the second baseman, Russell. Now Peralta at the plate, singled his first time up. And, Tom, you alluded to Cubs needing to win here in St. Louis. They have won just one of their last 13 series in this ballpark.
Well, and Joe went back to 2008 with his Tampa Rays team. You know, they were always getting knocked down by the Yankees and the Red Sox. They went to Fenway Park in September of 08, won 2 out of 3, the last 2 very close games that they pulled out. And he said that's when his team graduated.
Woo. Peralta down on strikes. First strikeout for Roach. A 9-pitch, 1-2-3 third for Don Roach in his Cubs debut. Surface. And by the new movie Max in theaters everywhere June 26th. Back in St. Louis, top of the 4th inning with the Cubs leading the Cardinals 1-0. Starlin Castro singled off the body of Waka back in the 2nd inning. Came around to score the game's only run to this point. Right center. Long run for Hayward. It's off the wall. So Castro in at second with a stand-up double. 6th hit of the game for the Cubs.
Well, clearly they have a game plan tonight. If he throws a fastball, we're attacking it. Even the balls we've watched Anthony Rizzo swing and miss on the changeups, those are looking for a fastball and fooled by a changeup. So they're sitting dead red and just trying to let it fly and catch up to it. Seems
yeah, hitters count right here, as you said. Fastball leaves it up. But I'm with you. I think Michael needs to mix it up a little more. Maybe pitch backward a little bit with his secondary stuff earlier in the count.
And he hasn't thrown that curveball you talked about.
Just a couple.
First pitch to Coughlin, ball one. Coughlin doubled his first time up. Castro leadoff double, takes his leadoff second. A 1-0 from Waka. On one hop, fielded by Wong. He'll get the ad at first as Castro moves to third. And we head to Los Angeles for another game break. Here's Kevin. All right, thanks, Kevin. Angels looking to gain ground on the first place Astros, who lost to the Yankees earlier today.
Yeah, both those teams thinking that. Seattle as well. You know, with their pitching staff, they get it together. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, Tom, but they're not done yet. I think 8-9 back is still got a shot. It's still very early. They got a long way to turn it around.
Long way to go, especially offensively. And the infield in once again. Let's see if Joe Madden plays aggressively with his pitcher again on deck in terms of the contact play. The runner takes off once the ball hits the ground.
Baxter intentionally walked his first time up. With the pitcher, Roach, waiting on deck. He has driven in the game's only run.
I know the advantage is having the guy behind him get some pitches to hit, but you also put this guy a little bit of jeopardy. We've watched already once in this game.
Yeah, it's really the equivalent of the eighth hole in the traditional National League lineup, and that's why Joe talked about some components that he likes. Having Addison Russell, a rookie, hitting a 9 spot with the leadoff man behind him. Much better place to break in a young player than the eighth hole with the pitcher behind him.
On one hop, it's fielded by Scruggs. Throw to the plate. Castro caught in a rundown. And he is tagged out. Throw to second. Out at second is Baxter.
Wow. Wow, what a play. Yeah, look at that again. I don't know if they're going to replay this or not, because that's a funky tag out there.
Yeah, and Joe Madden's out of the dugout saying, hang on a second right here.
Well, it's the way that Colton Wong falls back into the play. I think they got him. I think he got him.
No challenge.
He got him. But the way that he fell back into the play is why everybody was hesitating. This is a nice play by Carpenter. Look at Wong having to be on the run. Carpenter goes and hits him on the run, but that's a heck of a tag. From that angle, he looked safe. The other angle, he looked out. We may get a better look here, Ken.
So no challenge. It is the third consecutive inning-ending double play turned by the Cardinals defensively. Jason Hayward leading off for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 4th inning here at Busch Stadium. Hayward single to right his first time up. Middle of the order for the Cardinals. Hayward, Molina, and Grichuk, with the Cubs leading 1-0.
Well, I sure like Hayward in the middle of a lineup as opposed to leading off. You know, he led off a lot trying to play that role for the Braves the last couple seasons because they were so anemic at that.
Up the middle, base hit center field. We chatted between innings with Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. We asked him about the most recent of the 3 double plays turned by the Cardinals.
Well, not conventional. Nice play by Xavier Scruggs and just being heads up and aggressiveness. You know, I think you're getting to see a little athleticism from like a Colton Wong being able to get back there and make that catch and tag on the run. It's just it's impressive to watch, but it's just heads up baseball.
Mike, what do you see from your pitcher Michael Wacha so far?
Yeah, better. You know, he had a rough one last time out, and we're seeing a little better command with that fastball. Still working into some tough counts, and to me, whenever he can establish the bottom of the zone, it's amazing the tilt he has on his fastball and what that does for chases with the changeup and makes his off-speed stuff just better.
Hey, Mike, you guys have had Roach in trouble a couple different times. How do you break through on him?
Yeah, you know, it's a momentum deal, right? And we had a great opportunity there in the first, and the double play hurt us there, and it seemed like they jumped all over it and then got Michael for that run. But, you know, it's just a matter of getting those opportunities and not wasting them. It's happened a lot to us lately, the situational hitting. We got to be better at it.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck. Cardinals have won 4 straight, 3-2 win in 10 innings last night. Hit and run, and it's a base hit into right center. Hayward around third. Ball rolls to the wall. Hayward scores. We are tied at 1.
Well, that's how you get an offense going. You've got Jason Hayward, who we just talked about. He can lead off. He can do a lot of things for you. I like him in the middle of the order, but he doesn't clog the bases. And the way they were playing Molina, overshifting to left field, I had a sense he might try to shoot a ball that way. I wasn't clearly anticipating hit and run. But that was a nice piece of hitting, and it jump-started the offense. Got it going.
RBI number 25 for Molina, who breaks out of an 0 for 8. So the Cardinals have tied the game at 1 as Grichuk steps in. Walked his first time up back in the 2nd inning. First pitch from Roach in for a called strike, 0-1.
Interesting.
Popped into shallow left center. Catch is made by the center fielder Fowler for out number 1.
Yeah, I want to go back to that first pitch to Molina's at bat. Joe Madden likes to run pitch outs this way. You see the catcher set up in the outside box. It's not a true pitch out, but that's a pitch out all the way. Why? You have a sinker ball pitcher on the mound and a hitter who is a double play waiting to happen. So what do? You start the runner. Joe Madden knows that. Pure hit and run situation. Tries to steal something right there with Rizzo covering at first base. Next pitch, now Mike Matheny says, checkmate, I got you on the hit and run. Nice job by both managers. Better job by Matheny with the result.
Travis Wood up in the Cubs pen. Center field, it drops in front of Fowler. Heading home is Molina. Cardinals lead 2-1.
Boy, that's a heck of a read by Yachty. Before the play, you turn around, you see where the outfielders are playing, and you read the ball off the bat. That crack of the bat, he's off and going. He's fortunate Dexter Fowler doesn't catch this ball, but that's a great read. Watch this right here. This is a bullet. As soon as it's hit, he's off and running. He doesn't even look. And the reason he's not worried about it, once he looked over his shoulder, he's too late by then. But off the crack of the bat is because he did his preparation work before the pitch. He knew where he was standing in the outfield before the pitch was thrown. And once it's hit, you memorize that in your mind, you break, you go.
Scruggs back in at first. Xavier Scruggs, in his 6th game with the Cardinals this season, has now driven in 4 runs. Scruggs out of UNLV, driving in the run against the Las Vegas native. Don Roach.
Look at you. Look at you just tying things together. Like that. All right, Ken. I see you. I see you working.
And now Borges bounces one foul.
Vegas has become a baseball hotbed.
Sure has.
Roach not only played with Bryce Harper in junior college, he played with Joey Gallo in high school and played against Chris Bryant in high school. A lot of talent coming out of that area.
Bishop Gorman High School. Don Roach, Joey Gallo, and DeMarco Murray, the former Dallas Cowboy, now Philadelphia Eagle running back.
I thought you were going to say, and Snoop Dogg's son went there. Just yeah. It's a Bruin.
No, but Snoop Dogg attended the same high school as Chase Utley and Cameron Diaz. Pulled that one out of the
Yes, you did.
back of the brain somewhere. Base it up the middle for Borges. Fourth hit of the inning for the Cardinals.
Well, they wanted to jumpstart the offense. One of the things you do is you capitalize on the fastball. All their base hits are coming off fastballs. We talked about how aggressive the Cubs were with Michael Wacha's fastball. We've seen the same thing now with the Cardinals. The hit and run with Yachty, the base hit by Scruggs, the ability right there with Borges' fastball back up the middle. So, Tom, you're right. Sinker ball pitcher, make him get it up, but you also have to know, I got a fastball coming. I'm going to make that adjustment. So they've jump-started the offense.
An interesting play right here. Again, how do you play this? Defend the bunt. Might be tough to get Scruggs to third base on a bunt with the force in order. And look where Anthony Rizzo is playing right here at first base.
Yeah, you got to swing right here and try to shoot that ball that way. But if you bunt the ball, you're bunting to third. That's just where you bunt. Regardless, if you bunt to third, he's got to come get the ball. Now, Rizzo will try to sprint and go that way. That's why he's kind of positioned himself moving. But if you bunt it hard enough, you bunt it to third base, and you got no play anywhere.
Now that's Keith Hernandez style right there. Rizzo really not defending the right side, more so the middle and the left side of the diamond, knowing that Walker wants to get it to the left side.
And you almost bunt it down the first base line on the chalk. He's going to be sprinting towards third base. You might sneak it by him.
Walker swinging away. First and second, only one out. 2 runs in for the Cardinals here in the fourth.
You don't see this in the American League because with 1 out in the American League, first and second, you're not bunting. You know, so this is that pitcher, that little extra element. You're seeing where's the defense going to be. Is he going to bunt? Is he going to swing? These are things you see in a National League game you don't see.
Now the throw to second, and Scruggs gets back in.
You know why you see base runners get caught on that so much? It is hard to be able to get that back.
Watch Rizzo. He comes so far across. He has to duck. 2 guys ducking to get out of the way of that throw to second.
Well, and the catcher's saying, hey, I got an interference call on this thing too. Watch, he steps in front of him. He actually interferes. He probably could have got that call.
Now the 1-2 to Walker.
And if you want a designated hitter in both leagues, all these things we talked about go away.
Well, that, and I think also the use of the bench goes away quite a bit. That's why you can see so many bullpens loaded up in the American League, because you don't have to have the extra man.
Off the glove of Roach. Everybody's safe. Bases loaded.
Well, and that's knowing where your defenders are, and it's hard. I know it's a natural reaction for any pitcher, a ball hit at you, to go ahead and catch this ball and put a glove there. But look where Castro's playing right now. This ball's hit right at him. That's a double play ball. So you got to know, and they've moved around now with the bunt 4 different times with guys on the field with every pitch because of where they're trying to defend. So maybe he wasn't sure exactly where the shortstop was at. But that's a ball. If you let it go, he's standing right there.
So that will be all for Don Roach. Molina drove in Hayward to tie the game. And then it was Scruggs driving home Molina. 2-1 Cardinals, bases loaded. Travis Wood comes in from the pen. '28-year-old left-hander Travis Wood out of the Cubs pen, facing Colton Wong with the bases loaded. 20th appearance for Wood this season, on a relief of Don Roach, knocked out after 3 1/3 in his second major league start, his first as a Cub. Roach allowed 8 hits, 2 runs to this point, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, responsible for all 3 base runners.
3 ground ball singles in that inning. Life of a single ball pitcher.
And as Harold astutely pointed out on that last hit against Roach, if he doesn't get a glove on it, inning probably comes to an end on a double play.
Well, he's probably thinking he should make that play too. He got a good enough finish, athletic enough, where he feels like he should have turned it as well. 2 chances to get 2.
If you want to look at the change of the Cubs, I look at Wood. You know, here's a guy who was a starter, actually had some pretty good, couple good seasons, and now he's been relegated to bullpen, but as a weapon, not just, oh, you can't pitch, but this is how Joe Madden likes to use guys, and he's been one of the guys he really goes to in a situation like this. He can use him here, he can use him late, he can use him as a hitter. There's a lot of things he can do with him.
An all-star 2 seasons ago. He strikes out Wong for out number 2.
Extreme crossfire delivery. Keeps that shoulder closed. Tough on a left-hander. It's coming in at 85, a cutter. Wong just can't get it.
Well, he's a lot more aggressive out of the bullpen. When he was starting, he was trying to conserve pitches, didn't throw quite as hard. He would nibble a lot more. You saw right there the difference. He went right after Colton Wong. See if he does that to Carpenter.
Carpenter 8 for 33 against Wood. 2 of the 8 hits, home runs.
And immediately comes with a nice little slow curveball. I'm not coming after you.
Bases loaded with 2 outs, bottom of the 4th inning. 2 runs in the inning on 5 hits for the Cardinals. Scruggs, Borges, Waka. One and one. Johnny Peralta on deck. Should Carpenter reach? Low and away, 2-1. There's Don Roach, responsible for all 3 Cardinal base runners. Two and two.
That's one of those right there. Carpenter takes a gamble. Watch how big this swing is. He's going to take a shot real quick, try to shoot one in the gap or over the wall. Now he'll get back to that conventional shooting the ball around the ballpark swing.
Well, one of the best 2-strike hitters in all of baseball. This year he's actually down a little bit, 255. Might not sound great. The average hitter is $170 with 2 strikes.
And that's why 2-1 he could take that gamble. You know, he felt like, hey, here's an opportunity to break this game all the way open. He's confident enough in his ability. He's still going to be able to put the ball in play. And not just put it in play, but get a hit with 2 strikes.
And you know how important this pitch is. Montero wants to go out there, talk about this pitch. Probably don't want to go back to that same fastball, same location. Getting the ball in on Matt Carpenter, if you think about running it in on him, not easily done.
2-2 from Wood, and Carpenter fouls it back.
See, I always find it interesting when a guy like Wood, who's pitched a lot of innings, goes to the bullpen. Because now it's not like it's a guy they haven't seen before. Had a lot of battles against the Cardinals, and they've had a lot of at-bats off him.
Carpenter with a base hit into right field. Scruggs scores. Here comes Borges. Cardinals lead 4-1.
Well, what he did was he won that at bat with the foul ball. A good fastball away. I said it's tough to get the ball in on him. He's going to try to sneak the cutter in on Carpenter. No dice. Just covers the inside of the plate so well. 2 strikes, 1 strike, no strikes, doesn't matter. What a pure hitter, Matt Carpenter.
I just go back to, this is a guy that knows I've got good numbers against him. I see him well. You don't take that big hack 2-1, maybe try to hit a ball at the ballpark. If you don't know, he's not going to strike me out. I can still get a hit with 2 strikes.
RBIs number 35 and 36 on the year for Matt Carpenter. Cardinals with 4 runs on 6 hits here in the 4th.
You might think that was a late swing by Peralta, but I really think he was shooting for that hole over there on the right side. You've got Addison Russell playing right behind second base. The whole right side of the infield is there for the taking.
Broken bat down the right field line, foul.
I mean, it's all right there.
Well, they're playing that way because typically Johnny Peralta hits as if that's foul territory, the right side of second base. He tries to catch everything out in front of him, as we saw in the first inning, and hook it to left field.
And now you got a runner at third base. You got the first baseman holding. Look at the second base. The whole right side of the field is his to play with.
And he's going fastball away.
Peralta, the 9th Cardinal to come to the plate this inning. And guys, I know there's been a bit of a debate the last few weeks as to whether a team bats around when they send 9 hitters to the plate in an inning or 10. Which one is it?
For me, it's 10. It's got to go all the way around.
See, I always thought it was 9.
I think it's 9. Everybody hitting that inning.
Well, if you go around the world, say you start in New York, you got to wind up in New York, right?
Put one toe in it.
That's not all the way around.
Put one toe in New York. They got one toe in the
Okay, so you got all the way around, back to where you started.
All right, so we have 2 9s and 1 10. Ken Rosenthal, are we tied or will it be 3-1?
I don't know.
Way to come in strong, Kenny.
I'm ambivalent on this one. It's a silly argument.
Ken, I'm glad you got off your keister. Just saying.
Hey, Harold, I'm ready to get off at any time.
Keister. Just
2 Winfield mentions and 2 Keisters. We'll have to ask our statistician, Marty Aronoff. He's seen more Major League games than all of us combined. What year did you see your first game, Marty? First Major League game? 1951.
Wow. He's seen him bat around a few times.
Marty says 9. He's with us, Harold.
All right.
Left field, it's Coughlin.
We'll continue the debate.
Cardinals score 4 in the inning. Did they bat around or did they not?
No. We need the Supreme Court.
They batted around. We'll be back.
Finals begin. Alex Morgan and Team USA take on Germany with a trip to the final on the line. Coverage begins Tuesday, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Only on your local Fox station and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. We move to the 5th. Here in St. Louis, Cardinals leading 4-1. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Travis Wood leading off for the Cubs in the 8th spot in the order against Michael Wacha, who was out on the base paths, Tom, for just under 12 minutes during that last half inning.
11 minutes, 46 seconds to be exact. Keep a close eye on him. I'm going to call this my Michael Kadire rule because Michael of the Mets thinks like me on this one. When a pitcher is out on the bases for that long of a period of time, he's not doing anything, he's not getting exhausted, but it does get him out of the rhythm, and a lot of times that next inning is when he runs into trouble. Michael actually told me if he was the opposing manager, sometimes if a guy was really dealing, he'd put him on base with a walk just to have him out there and break up the rhythm, wear him down a little bit. Let's see.
Well, it helps when the other pitcher comes to the plate first to start the half inning.
But as you mentioned, this is not your normal hitting pitcher, Travis Wood. Watch this ball where it catches Yadi Molina with the spread stance.
Caught it just underneath the chest protector there.
Played that one safe.
Yes. Yes. Well, Wood's helping him get back into rhythm real quick. Found a few pitches off.
Walker needed just 9 pitches to get through the 4th inning. This will already be the 7th pitch of this at bat. Travis Wood, as Walker misses high and the count is full.
Look at that, Tom.
The Kadire rule could be in effect right here. Should see a good swing right here from Wood. And he missed.
Ball 4, so a leadoff walk to the opposing pitcher, Travis Wood. Leadoff man is on for the 3rd consecutive inning for the Cubs. We check in with Ken Rosenthal. Ken?
Guys, to take a step back, the mere fact that Don Roach started tonight's game underscores the Cubs' biggest problem, their lack of rotation depth. They need help right now, but the trade market is still largely dormant. Now, Harold, I know what you're thinking. What about Cole Hamels?
Okay.
Well, the Cubs might not want to trade for Cole Hamels, give up big prospects, take on the rest of his contract, when they're probably playing only for a wild card and when there are a number of free agents that will be available this winter. Their best move might be to trade one of their young infielders for a young pitcher they can control for several years.
No, I'm with that, Ken, no doubt. I don't think the Cubs are in that position to make that move. I was one of the few, and I'll still stand by that did not think they were going to be a playoff club. I think they're overachieving right now with so many young players.
Really?
Yep.
Now, I think they're going to be a team that gets better in the second half, and this guy, Addison Russell, to me is a big reason why.
He's a good player. They've got nice young talent, but I just think the experience down the road, they're going to gain experience, no doubt. But there's a lot of holes in their offensive game. And I think when you start getting down to that precision time and you start facing those clubs that got to wean things out, I think they're going to be left sitting at home. And hopefully they don't make a move and mess everything up.
That's a real big swing right there by Russell.
Little things like that.
It's one thing this team does more than anybody in the league is they strike out. This is a 2-strike swing here from Russell. Look how big it is.
I just think you got to look at the Central. You start looking at that. I look at the Pirates are a club to reckon with. Cincinnati's going to contribute because they're going to start trading some guys, and I think they're going to help folks be a little bit better if they're going to be playing. It's not just in the division, I think, but I look at the rest of everybody else thinks they're in it. So when you start going back around the league, the National League, there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to ante up and be a different club second time around. I wouldn't want to shake it up and give away my young guys without really knowing what their full development is.
So that's what you meant when you said hopefully they don't make a move and mess it up. You hope they don't mess up the future by trading a young player.
You got some good things. Now, I know they do have some decisions. You got some overload, and you can make some moves. What's going to happen with Baez? I don't know. But he's been hurt. He needs to play another summer. So I don't know if the value's there that could be there. Or what are you going to do with Schwarber? Is he going to catch? Bring him to the big leagues and let him catch and learn on the job, or is he going to continue to be in AAA? So there's a lot of things that are there. The nucleus is being built, but I still think they're summer away.
2-1 to Fowler. He fouls it off. Well, aside from the Cardinals, you look at the division rivals in the National League Central. Pirates last pennant, 1979. Reds, you have to go all the way back to 1990. And the Cubs, of course, 1945, last World Series title, 1908.
Yeah.
Kenny, you had a great stat about how spoiled the people here in St. Louis are.
Right, and it actually came from an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Since 1902, any child born in St. Louis did not make it past the age of 25 without the Cardinals winning a championship.
Wow. That's incredible. I've never heard anything like that ever.
Well, you just broke the heart of all the Cubs fans, and they had to hear that.
A lot of titles.
Last World Series title, 2011. Center field, Borges. 2 away. And the last living Cubs player to play in the World Series, Tom, was?
Lenny Marullo just passed away May 31st at the age of 98. Played in that 1945 World Series. Lenny Marullo broke into the big leagues, and when his first-born son was born in the morning, he played that afternoon in Boston. Lenny committed 4 errors in 1 inning. And from that day on, his son was named Boots.
E. Lenny. 4 errors in 1 inning.
In 1 inning.
Wow. Lenny was up all night.
Well, the bigger question is, did he pass out cigars in Boston that day?
Well, he came from the Boston area, born of Italian immigrants family, didn't know much about baseball. His mom wasn't too happy when he went off to go play baseball, but one winter he came back home with a $1,500 check from Phil Wrigley, the owner of the Cubs. His brother and his father were there in the kitchen when he pulled out the check. She said, "What's that?" Speaking in Italian. Somebody said, "That's $1,500 for playing baseball." She said, "What are you guys doing? Get out there and start playing baseball. Don't sit around here."
Did the check come with a pack of gum?
Lenny Marullo, really just a beloved figure all these years. Was a scout for a lot of years in baseball. Here he is right here, 1945. The last Cubs World Series team.
That school photo with the women sitting on up top.
Harold, you had Lenny's poster up in your bedroom as a youngster,
Yes,
right?
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, look at all the women. Are those the wives?
It was the original photo bomb.
Yes, there you go. Those were the days. Hey, you know, back to baseball real quick. You know, you were talking about how deep Wong plays with a left-handed hitter at certain times. You see another ball hit here, but the difference now is we have dirt to make it look deep. Well, guys were playing that deep on AstroTurf before in years ago.
On cue yet again. The ground ball to Colton Wong. Sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Back in St. Louis, 4-1 lead for the Cardinals. Bottom of the 5th inning. Kenny Albert, Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci, and Ken Rosenthal. And we pass along our congratulations to our coordinating producer at Fox, Judy Boyd, and her husband Marcus. Judy gave birth earlier today to her second child, Henry Pham Boyd. 8 pounds, 6 ounces, born at 7:41 this morning Pacific time. So congratulations to Judy and Marcus.
Congratulations. I just talked to Judy yesterday, and she said, well, you don't know it yet, but I'm getting ready to have a baby. I'm like, what? Because you don't see everybody all summer long. And last time I saw her was at the winter gathering that we had, the seminar.
Back in February.
Yep. I don't think she was even showing. Didn't seem like it.
Congrats to Judy.
Yeah, how about that?
And the young man will not be known as Boots.
Well, I talked to her yesterday. She was at work.
Producer Pete Majeska tells us that she was emailing him this morning from the hospital bed.
And we were talking about your guy going out and making 4 errors. Come on, man. Men are wimps. We're wimps.
Starlin Castro missed a couple of innings earlier this week as he became a father for the second time. Second child, Scarlett, joining Starlin Jr. And then Starling did play in the final 4 innings of the game that night at Wrigley.
Well, if Travis Wood throws a ball right here, the Kadire rule will be confirmed officially. After he had the leadoff walk, gone to a full count on Hayward.
Wait to see how you're going to clean that up.
And there it is. Never doubt the Kadire rule.
But does Michael Kadire, Tom, think that the Cardinals batted around in the 4th inning?
I'm telling you, that's got to go to the Supreme Court. Got nothing else to do these days, right?
Well,
they cleaned up all their business.
Technically, around means you go around.
So you're saying technically I'm right, but you're still saying I'm wrong.
Everybody hit.
Well, our Supreme Court is Stats Inc., and they tell us that the Cardinals did in fact bat around for the 11th time this season.
There you go.
But Tom still disagrees.
I keep waiting for Ken Rosenthal to settle it.
Ken's not going.
Ken was on the fence, probably still is.
He's been making calls on it.
Ken's dialed in. He's trying to figure out what trades are happening.
All right, H. I got an email from Bob Elliott, Spink Award winner, great baseball writer for the Toronto Sun, and he said, it's not a bat around until you change the numbers at the top of your scorebook, which means a 10th guy has to hit. I'm with Bob.
You tell Bob I don't keep a scorebook.
Well, it looks like you attempted to for the first inning. What happened?
I started, and then I got caught up in looking at situations and forgot to write stuff down. You know, the funny thing about scorebooks for me is I had to do that as a kid. Being the youngest of 8 and having 4 older brothers, I did it my whole entire childhood. All I did was keep stats. And so now when I get to sit up here and not worry about keeping a book,
all right,
look at this.
Here's Harold's scorecard. He actually had his iPhone on top of it. You're worse than my kids, Harold.
Yeah,
One inning.
You went through all the trouble to fill in the lineups. You put partly the positions in.
Yeah. You know what? I got a lot more done this time around. Hey, Joe Buck's working on me. I'm telling you, that's the goal. I think it's Joe's goal to have me in a book by the playoffs.
So does that mean you're keeping a golf scorecard this weekend?
Ooh, I'd probably do that because I'd need to do that. Went miniature golfing the other day and didn't keep a scorecard.
You know, it reminds me of the first game I worked on Fox with Lou Piniella about 7 or 8 years ago. Lou was on the field, in the dugout for 30, 40 years as a player, then manager. This is before he went on to manage the Cubs. So he's working his first game in the booth for Fox. He had no idea how to keep score. We got Lou one of the lineup cards from the dugout, and he filled it out as if he was managing and cross off the last batter of each inning.
That's
what Lou did for that first game.
I did that last year for the World Series. I'd go to Don Wakamatsu with the Royals and go, give me that little print. Remember that?
Yeah.
I had the whole printout of both teams. All right, here's the guy they're going to the pen with. Yeah, it's great.
Lou had the big one.
Best way to do it.
Well, my son had the opportunity to watch a game here for the first time at Busch Stadium, and he came out of it saying, you know what really impressed me? I saw more people in the stands keeping score than I've ever seen in any other ballpark.
Really special.
That's a baseball town. I
Yep.
mean, that's a lost art. We do it up here, some of us in the booth. But in the old days with the scorecards, the little pencil they'd give you to keep score, you'd see a lot of them. Rarely see them these days.
How'd you start keeping the booth? What, Ken?
With that little pencil that Tom talked about. Go to a Met or Yankee game growing up in New York, you buy the program and the small pencil. In fact, one of my first memories of keeping score was at Ron Guidry's 18 strikeout game against the Angels, Yankee Stadium.
Harold, my phone is buzzing down here, and I just got a text from Joe Buck, and he said that Greg Norman is going to learn to keep a baseball scorebook before you do.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I tried to have a good comeback, but I couldn't think of anything, so I just said maybe so. I'm working on it.
You're 1 inning ahead of Pinella.
Not 1 inning in. Actually, I went back and filled in a couple things. I always look at the game like I was still playing. That's how I try to memorize it. How would I defend this guy? What did he do last time? That type of stuff.
Of course, the other challenge is when the game goes into extra innings. I see your book actually has room for 15 innings.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the Joe Buck special. He ordered this, from the Joe Buck School of Broadcasting.
It's the official Bob Carpenter scorebook, voice of the Washington Nationals, as Grichuk sends this one all the way to the wall. Here comes Hayward around third. If Harold were keeping score, he would mark that down as the 5th Cardinals run of the game.
You know what's amazing about the Cardinals, and I would, and that was again Hayward streaking the bases. What's interesting about their club, when they get Holiday back, he'll add a little more power. These guys are going to have some guys that are going to hit 20 home runs. I think Grichuk can reach that. I think Hayward can, and clearly Holiday, and that's about it. But they don't clog the bases. We watch a lot of teams in baseball. They don't score on this ball. It's a ball hitting to the gap in right center field, and we're second and third because everybody's thinking about power, and these guys are a good little combination. There's another run. Let's see where Scruggs ends up.
Here comes Grichuk. He scores the Cardinals' 6th run. It's a double for Scruggs, his 2nd RBI of the game, and 5th in 7 games this season.
And now I believe you're a little.
I'm telling you, it's amazing how many times it's happened. We saw the 3-1 fastball left over the middle of the plate early in the count. Now the breaking ball leaves it up to Scruggs. And I'm with you on the Cardinals. I mean, maybe if you look at the offensive numbers, you're not blown away. But the beauty of the Cardinals to me is they give you absolutely nothing. They really don't strike out a lot. They play good defense. Their pitchers don't walk hitters. You go into the game thinking, my goodness, we've got to play a really clean game. We're playing the Cardinals. And there's pressure already when the game starts. That, to me, is the beauty of the Cardinals. Clean baseball, night in, night out.
And now the Cubs will intentionally walk Peter Borges with Waka in the on-deck circle. Every Cardinal with at least 1 base hit. Cardinals have scored 6 runs on 8 hits in the last inning and a third.
Well, the other reason you walk right here, you want to, clearly you're looking for a double play ball out of Waka, but also you go back to the top of the order. He struck out Wong with the fastball inside. Remember that? Got underneath his hands. Was able to tie him up. So now you got 2 options to maybe try to get out of this inning.
Our game summary sponsored by Budweiser. Couple of hits and 2 runs scored by Hayward. Scruggs has driven in 2, and the Cardinals defensively turned 3 inning-ending double plays in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings. Waka, base hit his last time up, back in the 4th inning. First and second, 1 out, 2 runs in here in the 5th.
And Anthony Rizzo, it's almost like a blitz defender in the NFL. Creeping in. Is he coming left? Is he coming right?
That's good. I like that.
Well, the Cubs playing the 3-4, the 4-3.
I don't know, but he's about to lose a tooth. He gets any closer.
Cardinals have sent 26 batters to the plate. 14 of the 26 have reached base. Pitch gets away from Montero. Both runners advance.
Yeah, that says it all, that face right there. 2 strikes on the pitcher. He's getting himself up, and you spike a curveball. And the sacrifice is accomplished without Waka having to even attempt to bunt.
Scruggs and Borges, the base runners, second and third. Infield in, 1 out. Ground ball to the second baseman, Russell. Both runners hold as Waka grounds out, now 2 away. Well, we've been talking golf, guys. We check out the leaderboard from Sacramento. Bernhard Langer and Jeff Maggart at 5 under. 8 golfers tied at 4 under par. Final round coverage begins tomorrow at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on Fox, the U.S. Senior Open Championship.
What a leaderboard. You talk about a last day scramble.
"16 players within 2 shots in Sacramento." What a finish last Sunday at the U.S. Open.
Travis Wood, this game is all yours. Saw the empty bullpen.
And that's the tough thing about statistics. Is you'll sit back and look at his numbers and go, they're not very good, but he helped the team get through a game that sets him up to have a chance to win tomorrow and into next week.
2 more runs will score. Cardinals now lead 8-1. Second hit of the game for Wong, his 35th and 36th runs batted in of the season.
Well, they've broken this wide open, and I think it goes back to the aggressive hit and run that got it going when they hit and ran with Yadi Molina. They shot a ball into the gap and got everybody moving. And now Wood is just out of gas. But at that time, they got Roach out of the game. Wood has come in. He's trying to hold on, but he's out of gas. They're going to have to go get somebody if they want to get through the next couple innings.
4th consecutive 2-hit game for Colton Wong. Here's Matt Carpenter, drove in 2 runs his last time up back in the 4th inning.
He's got to find a way to get people out. He does have no help behind him. Remember, he has been stretched out, began the year as a starting pitcher. See him get a first pitch strike there. The problem is too many hitters counts. Wong jumping on the 2-0 pitch there. Grichuk 3-1.
The 0-1 from Wood to Carpenter, now 0-2. Cubs led 1-0. Cardinals scored 4 in the 4th, 4 here in the 5th.
Saw that circle change grip from Wood. Doesn't throw it too often, but that's where he begins, then regrips once he pulls the baseball into the glove.
He strikes out Carpenter to end the inning. Cardinals do not bat around in the 5th. They send 8 men to the plate, now lead 8-1.
Game. This might surprise you, though. Here's Monday. 2 home runs in this game. One on a breaking ball from Clayton Kershaw. And then later in the game against Liberatore, a fastball in. What do these home runs have in common? Both pitches up in the zone. One away, one in. We see the home run chart, if you will, the strike zone one, Chris Bryant. You think with his leverage swing that down here you'd see more home runs. But no, he is not a low ball hitter. Even though he tries to hit everything in the air, literally he does, it's a case where the ball down he doesn't handle as well as the ball up. And you noticed also in that home run chart that nothing out of the strike zone. He will not chase anything out of the zone, especially, heard about bad ball hitters. He's not one of them. He makes pitchers get into the zone, but prefers the ball up more than down, which is surprising to me for a guy who's got the loop in his swing.
He told me, I hate hitting ground balls. And when I do, that's why I run so hard, because I'm taking my aggression out. So you're right, Tom. He's looking to try to lift the ball. Doesn't like to hit the ball on the ground. And that is very rare. Because usually you're told, hit line drives, ball on the ground, it's going to take off, and backspin some balls.
Goes back to the work with his dad, who was a minor league player in the Boston system, Class A ball, and actually worked with Ted Williams, an early advocate of swinging up on the baseball.
There's a ground ball to the third baseman, Carpenter. Bryant running hard, but the throw beats him to the bag for out number 1. Bryant now 0 for 3, and we mentioned earlier that Don Roach, tonight's Cubs starter, a native of Las Vegas. He was a collegiate teammate of Bryce Harper.
Yeah, let me see you navigate through this.
Well, Chris Bryant, Joey Gallo, same high school as Roach. And how about Greg Maddux and Barry Zito, also Las Vegas natives?
Wow, pretty good stuff.
Well, you don't need one of these high school reunion websites when you got Kenny Albert around.
No, you don't.
Or classmates.com. Montero fouls it back.
And you do it with such dry humor. That's what's so funny. Straight. He doesn't even smile at you. He just drops his line and keeps moving.
Still
knowing that
still no
funny.
reaction to when I brought up your longest consecutive game streak back in the second inning.
I heard you, and you said something about 195.
I think I just pulled that out of a hat.
No, that was good. You did your homework. You're dangerous.
All right, tell me about Pete Filson.
First home run, first major league homer. Left-handed pitcher.
I'm glad you remember that one, H.
I hit that one on right-handed in the Kingdom.
Inside the park?
No. I hit the jog on that one.
And the reason I bring that up is because we saw Greg Garcia of the Cardinals hit his first major league home run last night in the 8th inning.
I was waiting for you to say, and he's a cousin of Pete Filson or something like that.
As far as we know, he is not related to Pete Filson, as Montero strikes out. 5th strikeout for Michael Wacha. Tonight's telecast sponsored by the Dodge Brothers. 100 years later, their spirit lives on. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
But back to Garcia as Castro steps in. Joe Madden was with the Angels, right? And so Garcia's grandfather, Davey Garcia, was an instructor with the Angels when Joe was starting on.
Right. And
years ago.
Dave, a former manager with the Angels and Indians, and big night last night for his grandson, Greg.
About that.
Joe wasn't even aware of that when we told him about that. But he did recall that Dave Garcia has lived in a trailer park in the San Diego area for quite some time.
Now 94 years of age.
And has always lived in a trailer. And Joe's always loved driving that big old RV he drives, which is back in Tampa now. Resting comfortably.
Less wear and tear than if he kept it in Chicago.
True.
2 hits tonight for Starlin Castro. Scored the Cubs run back in the second inning. And he shoots this one into shallow right. Calling for it and making the catch is the second baseman, Wong. A 1-2-3-6. Waka has retired 6 in a row. Johnny Peralta leads off for the Cardinals here in the 6th. The only Cardinal who did not come to the plate in the 5th inning. Cardinals with 4 runs in back-to-back innings. Lead the Cubs 8-1. Carlos Villanueva up in the Cardinals pen.
That's a sign of the Cardinals trying to steal some innings for Michael Wacha. There he is right there.
And wisely so.
Well, they went into the season with an idea of trying to keep him under 200 innings, but quite frankly, he's looked so good this year. That's kind of gone out the window. But between Michael Wacha and Carlos Martinez making his first full season in a rotation, there have been concerns about their total innings limit for the season to have them ready for October.
And these are certain ways of doing it. And I think the other thing you can do every now and then, you saw it, is I call it the Pedro Martinez effect. You just let him sit, skip a start.
That mid-season vacation?
Yeah.
Peralta draws a leadoff walk. As we take a look back to the 8th inning last night, our Pepsi's most thrilling historical moment of the game. A pinch hit home run off the bat of Greg Garcia. And how about this celebration? His first Major League home run. Garcia became the 92nd player to hit his first career home run in a game between the Cubs and the Cardinals. A list that includes 7 Hall of Famers.
Hold it. That's heavy to take. Back that up. The what now?
Were you looking at your phone again?
No. I'm watching the game. 92nd player just in this series
to hit his first career home run in a game between these teams. In a Cubs-Cardinals game.
That's crazy.
The list that includes Ernie Banks, Lou Brock before the trade to St. Louis.
Well, the home run was crazy. Neither manager expected that one. I mean,
No.
Garcia is a very good player, but he had no home runs in 250 minor league at-bats this year. And to leave this yard dead center, it was jolted.
How quickly did he get around the bases?
It was
We need a
great.
StatCast on that one.
That was, I thought it was cool how his teammates greeted him in the dugout. I hate the silent treatment.
I'm with you. Thank you.
I'm so tired.
Dude just hit his first major league home run. You saw how excited he was, and I think they took their cue from him.
How about these ransom notes that we've seen recently from teammates who get a hold of the baseball after a player's first home run, either in the major leagues or the minor leagues?
They work, don't they?
That's pretty good. Ransom notes.
This team ate a steak dinner. This team ate a new stereo.
Well, a ransom note is the guy that caught A-Rod's 3,000. He's not giving that back.
Although it sounds like he might be changing his tune a bit.
Negotiations ongoing.
If I was Alex, I'd just say, keep it, no problem.
Well, I think there will be a charitable aspect involved in that, so it all turned out for the good.
That fan claims that he's caught 8,000 balls.
That includes BP, by the way.
Still a pretty big number.
8,000.
Back-to-back walks. When was the last time you caught a ball down at field level, Ken Rosenthal?
I don't know about catching them. I know about getting hit by them. But getting back to Garcia, guys, a moment like that, a player generally hears from everybody he knows in the world. Well, he heard from his mom, Belinda, his dad, Dave, his brothers, Aaron and Drew, and those were the text messages he savored most. He said you could just feel the pure joy coming through those texts. He says he's going to save them and one day show them to his kids.
Whatever happened to a phone call? Ken?
That's not what phones are for anymore.
What's that?
Everybody texts, huh?
Well, maybe they texted first, then called later.
No, yeah, I get it. I was just curious. I thought you disappeared on me for a second there.
One other note, Harold, his girlfriend Hannah was also in the park. She lives in Kansas City, so it just made the night that much more complete for Garcia, and he was still fired up today.
All right.
And that was an interesting conference on the mound because the bullpen still is empty, and Wood clearly laboring. See 61 pitches, but stressful pitches. So make sure you don't tax him too much.
Red foul off the bat of Molina.
You got a note for that, Ken?
Working on it.
I am mesmerized. What a shot from the blimp.
Crazy. Blood red. It's a beautiful night.
Some might say Cardinal red. It's been that kind of night.
Back-to-back walks to start the inning. Hayward on base for the fourth time tonight.
Wood is throwing a lot of pitches.
I mean, Harold, this is almost one of those games where you can see a position player at some point taking the mound. We've had a lot of those in the game now.
Oh, no. Please, don't. He might throw the security guard back there. He's wearing blue. That's the other thing I'm not real fond of, is the position player pitching. It's the big leagues. Hang with them, guys. Somebody's got to pitch.
Do you ever want to do it?
No, never did. But I just think that, you know, you have a lot of guys that spend their life getting to the big leagues to pitch. Put them on the mound. I think it lessens the game when position players pitch. I understand the strategy of everybody trying to stretch their rosters and stuff like that, but I don't like it.
Well, it is the downside to all this bullpen usage we have in the game today. A lot of these guys aren't trained to pitch more than a couple of batters at a time. You run through your pitchers quickly by trying to play matchup.
How about David Ross, the Cubs' other catcher? He hits his first career home run off Mark Grace.
See?
You only get one first Major League home run, and for Ross, it was not against the pitcher.
Mark Grace.
Mark playing and pitching for Arizona at the time, at least that night. Now the 1-2. Molina into right field. Baxter on the run. One away.
Here's where the score is 8-1, and you start to play a gentleman's game, so to speak, because Peralta doesn't tag up. Normally, you tag up, you move on to third base. I still wouldn't have a problem with him tagging up, still playing the game right there. But he didn't tag up.
Yeah, I'm with you, too. I would not have a problem if he did tag up on that ball. It's the big leagues.
Grichuk doubled in a run his last time up.
It's a beautiful park. Did you come here before when it was the old park, Ken?
Yep. I was actually at the last game of the old park in the postseason.
It was what, circular? I don't even think I came to the old park. I don't remember it.
You never got to that old Busch Stadium, huh? That pool table AstroTurf they had, that surface was so fast and hot.
Yeah, no, I didn't play in the National League, and I never really got here that often. When was the last season of the old park? I'm sure you know that, Ken, without looking it up. Don't look it up. Ooh, you're going to get a half inning to do it.
It was the 05 postseason, right, Tom? Series against Houston. That will do it for the Cardinals. In the sixth, they lead 8-1. Provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Cardinal starter Michael Wacha in search of his 10th win of the season. Goes 6 innings, allows Just 1 run on 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So Carlos Villanueva, the ex-Cub, the 31-year-old right-hander, on in relief, will face Chris Coghlan leading off for the Cubs here in the 7th. Coghlan 1 for 2, doubled back in the 2nd inning. Got to look at Edwin Jackson up in the Cubs pen. One run on 6 hits for the Cubs, 8 runs, 12 hits for the Cardinals. They scored 4 in the 4th, and then 4 more in the 5th. They chased Cubs starter Don Roach, who was replaced by Travis Wood after 3 1/3. Roach making his first start as a Cub, second major league start.
Well, they really broke it open with the aggressive play. I'll go back to that again, going first to third, hit and run, doing different things. And it was right after Mike Matheny basically did an interview with us and said, we got to jumpstart this offense.
Coghlan draws a leadoff walk here in the top of the 7th as we take you back to the 4th inning with the Cubs leading 1-0. Third double play turned by the Cardinals in 3 innings, Harold.
Yeah, and I want to show, it's a great tag here, and it looks awkward, but how far he went. The reason he ended up being in that position, he broke to cover first base on the bunt, and then broke back to second to take the throw to cover that vacated spot and put the tag on him. It's just a terrific heads-up play.
Yeah, I thought Matheny said it best, the athleticism of Colton Wong to get in position, recover with speed, and then how about that kind of no-look tag behind the back to get him, find him. Great play.
It really was. Here's another look at it. See where Wong is at. As they get the rundown, he realizes there's a rundown. Now he's got to take off. And I really thought Carpenter did a nice job of throwing a strike to him. But you know what else I saw out of that play that I like? Where the right fielder's at. Jason Hayward. These are the little things that the Cardinals do, the fundamentals. And it's not Wong's play making the tag. That's not really one of those fundamental plays you look for. But there's always somewhere you can be on the field. And Jason Hayward, had that ball got past Wong, was standing right there to catch the wild throw.
That's a great point. They do it so well. And I'll tell you on the flip side, what I didn't like was Starlin Castro giving himself up too easily on the tag. Fundamental play there is make sure you dive away from the glove hand of the fielder. Make him reach down away from his body where he's not in position to make a throw the way that Carpenter was.
Well, and another step further on that is you try to stand a rundown long enough to let that guy get to second base. So if he creates just another 2 steps, the base runner's walking into second, you got to run at second base.
Two one to Mike Baxter. Catch is made by Peralta for out number 1. Coverage of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game begins Sunday, July 5th and Monday, July 6th with the 2015 Esurance All-Star Selection Show and the 2015 Gillette Home Run Derby presented by Head & Shoulders, July 13th on ESPN. And don't miss the game itself, the Midsummer Classic, Tuesday, July 14th, right here on Fox. You guys will be there along with Joe Buck.
It's going to be a good time. All the stars gather. I still think it's a great game. I know everybody, it means something. And last year it came down to Game 7. The American League had that Game 7 home field advantage. Obviously the Giants won. But it's a lot at stake. But even more importantly, it's the time the world stops to watch baseball. I love it.
Well, this year, especially for me, showcase of star players. See the wild pitch get away from Molina there. 25 and under. This game is blessed right now with a generation of players that many of whom could be superstars. ball bounced. Assuming a wild pitch on that. You think about Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Too bad Stanton with the injury. He's still only 25. The Rookie of the Year race in this league with Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant, Michael Franco. Great wave of hitters finally coming into the game.
Pinch hitter Matt Caesar at the plate. Lines out to Borges.
What a play by Borges. He got a tremendous jump.
By the way, it was ruled a pass ball during that last at bat, as Conklin is able to get back in.
It's an interesting call. I don't normally see a pass ball on a ball that bounces.
Might be why Yachty's defensive rating is down a little bit.
So 2 away. Here's Addison Russell. Russell 0 for 2.
Really impressed how quick Addison Russell has adapted to second base. The pivot has come a long ways. I watched him during infield today, and he turned a couple nice ones in the game tonight. That's obviously the biggest challenge, but I think just watching him play in person is really impressive. He's a big kid.
Yeah, he is, and I think that comfort level we're seeing, not just that second base, but just being around the big leagues. He's a very quiet guy. He's so quiet, in fact, that Joe Madden, the manager, gave him a book assignment, kind of borrowing from Phil Jackson, another Zen master, former Chicago Bulls coach, running the Knicks now. He told him to read Stephen King's historical novel 11/22/63, built around the Kennedy assassination. He said, report back to me every few weeks about how it's going. Well, guys, the book is more than 800 pages.
Wow.
It could take a while. He told me he forgot to bring it with him on this trip. He's going to have to buy the audiobook.
Well, it also keeps him in his room at 21 years old.
No wonder he said report back every few weeks.
And really, it's one of the things I love about Joe Madden. He thinks about more
cool.
than just the analytics of the game. He's thinking about the person, establishing a comfort level, kind of bringing him out of his shell, relate to his players on a person basis rather than just manager-player. Homework assignment, doing book reports in the big leagues. I love it.
Were you ever given a book assignment by a manager, Harold?
No, I was just thinking that. No. I mean, I know good and well I wasn't ever given that kind of assignment from managers. No.
Well, you came from a generation. If somebody cracked open a hardcover book on a flight, probably got some funny looks from the rest of the guys, right?
Yeah, no, some guys were reading, but I had some funny managers that did not. You couldn't wear. You know how these guys wear all those stocking caps and gloves and stuff like that when it's cold. That wasn't happening.
Russell went around. 7th inning stretch time in St. Louis. Sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. And by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. Our in-game box score brought to you by Geico. Every Cardinal with at least one hit. 2 for Wong, Hayward, and Scruggs. Cardinals with 8 runs on 12 hits. Lead the Cubs 8-1. Third pitcher of the evening for Chicago is the ex-Cardinal Edwin Jackson, making his 21st appearance. And he will face the bottom of the order with Scruggs leading off. 2 for 3. He's driven in 2, and he has scored 2 runs.
Talking to Edwin before the game, he said, there's only one thing I want to do that's left for me to do. Play the outfield. Do we not always hear the pitchers say that? And I said that to him. You pitchers say that all the time. He goes, hey, I wasn't always a pitcher. I could play out there.
Mariano Rivera used to say the same thing. There was
Yep.
some thought maybe he'd play in the outfield in his last game. The Yankees finished up in Houston that year.
Now, you mentioned earlier you have a problem with position players pitching, but what about pitchers playing the outfield?
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that. They're out there enough doing that anyway. Shagging every day.
That's how Rivera got hurt, right? Kansas City, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he might tell you this himself. He was the Yankees' best center fielder for a long time. He could go get it.
Base hit up the middle. Third hit of the game for Xavier Scruggs. As the Cardinals go for their 50th victory of the season. Best record in baseball, best home record in the majors. 8-game lead over Pittsburgh in the NL Central. Lowest earned run average in all of baseball. They've allowed the second fewest home runs. And how about the bullpen?
Pretty good. You know, it's funny. I was talking to Mike Matheny before the game, and I said, hey, going for 50 wins today. And he said, really?
And they've done it without these guys.
Incredible that they've been able to do that with missing those 2 key players. Big.
Well, nobody's won 100 since the 2011 Phillies. That is the longest gap since we've gotten to a 162-game schedule. Those pitching numbers, Kenny, are just ridiculous. How good this team has been the first half.
And we also asked the question prior to the game, how has the first team to 50 wins done as far as the postseason is concerned? Not that well since 2000. Only one World Series champion, the White Sox, back in 2005. And then the Tigers got to the World Series in 2006, but lost to the Cardinals. So the first team to 50 wins with only one championship since the 2000 season.
You know, it just shows you how important trade deadline is, because so many teams get out the blocks like the Cardinals, and other clubs that are competing with them look around and go, all right, how are we going to get better? How can we beat them in the postseason? That's what happens. It's going to be tough to turn.
Safe at first is Borges. Cubs get the lead runner. Scruggs at second.
See, here's the little simple nuances of Tom. We talked about how young this club is. Getting that ball, bringing it down, and throwing from there. If he throws that ball from up top, you may have a shot. But even Bryant took a little bit longer to get that ball. Now, I know Borges is not your normal runner, but that ball's hit too hard to not be a double play in the big league.
Yeah, you're right, and I think you have to be perfect when Borges is running, and beginning with the feed from Bryant, which is high to glove side. That's the reason why he didn't have 2 hands around the baseball to make a quicker turn.
Here's Villanueva batting for the 4th time this season. He's 0 for 3. Squares to bunt.
But, that said, Ken and Tom, I love what I'm seeing from the Cubs. Bryant is going to be a top defender. Addison Russell, I think he's going to be an all-star second baseman. I mean, he's got all the tools. You like to see what those guys are doing in the infield. It's experience. Just let them play.
Yeah, to me, it's like when you were a kid and your mom is baking cookies. And you could smell them. The whole house smells like chocolate chip cookies, but they're not ready yet. You got to take a while to bake. That's what you're looking at with this Cubs team. You could smell it. You can smell all the talent here. It's not ready yet.
You're making me want to go home. See how eloquent he is, Ken, with his delivery. He throws a little writer's sauce on it.
He's got that writer's cap on 3-4 days a week.
Creative, throws it a little different. I said, where's he going? Talking about chocolate chip cookies. Can you smell it in the house? Yeah, but it's not ready yet. Oh, what a delivery.
What, though? I got to tell you guys, I did pick him for a wild card because I do think their second half will be better. And I do think, and Ken Rosenthal was bringing this up, I think they will fortify this team.
They can
most
make
likely
the moves.
In the pitching staff. And I think it will be a younger pitcher rather than a rental pitcher. It's about control at this point for the Cubs beyond this year.
And you look around that infield, they're all 25 or younger. Rizzo, 25, he's been an all-star. Russell, just 21. Castro, 25. He's been to 3 all-star games. And Bryant is 23.
Think about that with Starlin Castro. He's been to 3 all-star games, and every year they're trying to get rid of this guy. and he's just now getting to be 25 years old. And I've always been a big fan. He had 200 hits back-to-back seasons, and the guy was like 21 years old.
Villanueva tagged out by Rizzo, so he moves Borges to second.
But the talent's there. I still think even Rizzo's young. The whole infield is young. You don't have that veteran guy that's been around, whether it's a utility man.
I think that's the guy right there, H.
Yeah, but
he is a born leader. He might not have the kind of years on the back of the baseball card that you want of a true leader, but he has all the markings of a true team leader.
No doubt about it. But he hasn't been through the wars. You know, he isn't able to tell a guy, trust me, I've been there. That's what you miss. And whether it's let's throw a name out there, a Willie Bloomquist. You don't have to be a star, or John McDonald, who's been there and been around. You look at what's happening with Xander Bogaerts in Boston, because you have Dustin Pedroia there. He's going to continue to understand. Here's how you work. Here's how the fundamentals you go through. Here's the things you're going to go through.
So they need their Raul Ibanez, the way the Royals last year with that young team.
No doubt about it.
Through a pennant race. Got him there. I don't care what he hit. I know he contributed to that team late in the season.
That James Shields did to the rotation. You know, those type of things when Shields came to Kansas City. We're going to pitch 1,000 innings, guys, and here's how you do it. Here's how you train. Here's the mindset you got to have. I just think there's still a lot of learning there that you don't have on that team yet, on this club here.
Ken Rosenthal, what do you think when you look at the Cubs over the second half of this season?
I tend to agree with Tom, but they do need help, and I'll give you a name, guys. Ben Zobrist. He can play all over the field. He can enable them to rest some of their younger players down the stretch on different days, and he is that type of guy that Harold is talking about. Someone who has been there, someone who is a leader. Now, the problem is every other team wants Zobrist, and the A's right now are trying to get back into the race.
Zobrist, of course, who had great success under Joe Madden with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
Not sure how fully healthy he is. He's had a knee issue.
Yeah, I'm not.
He's going to play a little better for me before I start giving up value. If I get him cheap, absolutely. He's exactly the type of guy who fit well here. Joe knows that as well as anybody.
Well, I think what Oakland's done a nice job of is covering up the injury. You haven't seen him at shortstop. You know, you haven't seen him pressed in those situations in the middle infield where you're bending down on every play. He's in the outfield, or he's been DH, or he's doing different things. So they've done a nice job of nursing him back healthy. The bat's been there, but I've heard people say, hey, he can come in and play short. Nah, hold on. Not yet. But he's a name getting a lot of traction. I'm curious what Ken Rosenthal's hearing, like big names, because we're not that far now as we head to July with the trade deadline.
Wong draws a 2-out walk. Well, Joe Madden spent 31 years in the Angels organization, including the final 12 on the Major League staff. Then it was on to Tampa, 2-time Manager of the Year, World Series appearance, lost to the Phillies in 2008. Named Cubs manager in November of last year, and When you talk about the presence that he brings to the Cubs organization and the Cubs dugout, one of the best managers in all of baseball.
Well, I think what Joe does is he lets guys relax and be themselves. And I think sometimes you try to mold guys into what you want them to be or what you think they should be, and not just player-wise, but personality, all that. I think he really lets guys be themselves and gets the most out of their personality and that personnel of who that person is.
Totally agree with you. I'll give you one example. A lot of teams have a dress code when they travel, maybe a suit, maybe just a jacket. With Joe, it's wear whatever you want. Whatever you think makes you look hot, you can wear.
And he would say it just like that, too.
And he does the same as Carpenter flies out to the center fielder, Fowler. 7 innings in the books.
You're looking hot, Ken. Looking hot.
Thanks, so. For the Cubs against Carlos Villanueva. Fowler is 1 for 3. Single back in the 3rd inning. Cubs took a 1-0 lead in the 2nd. But the Cardinals came back 4 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th. Lead 8-1. With a win, the Cardinals would go to 28-7 here at home. The last team in the National League to win 28 of their first 35 at home, Harold. The 79 Expos.
Wow. I would have never thought that.
Garrett Carter, Andre Dawson, Warren Cromartie.
Good team.
Villanueva covering. So Fowler is retired, 1 away. Follow your favorite team and players all season with MLB.com. At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat now.
They send you alerts, too, man, when things are happening.
You're all over it.
I'm all over it. Connects to your local TV cable provider and hook you up. Get the video. I got a chance to watch a couple plays driving in today. Pretty good. Been on it, Tom?
Does it have an app to help you keep score? Teach you how to keep score?
I'm sure they probably would do that. Yeah. They can add that.
You don't have to. It keeps score for you.
That's true.
Cheating.
Yeah, that's fun.
Tom, you remember the first time you kept score?
I was like you. I mean, going back to Shea Stadium back in the 60s, Yankee Stadium, I was definitely a scorecard guy for 25 cents with the pencil. No doubt about it.
See, but that's...
I wanted, it was weird, like I wanted something to take home as a memory of the game, besides obviously what I saw. It was like you had a historical record of the game.
I get it. But you guys grew up around a major league city. I grew up in Oregon. And my major league team was a wiffle ball yard in the back at the Becks. And I kept the stats for everybody, me and Kurt Kim.
There you go. Whatever works. Chris Bryant stepping to the plate. Led the NCAA 31 home runs. At the University of San Diego, drafted second overall by the Cubs in 2013. Led all of baseball with 9 home runs. Did not start the season with the Cubs. That was well documented. Major League debut April 17th. National League Rookie of the Month in May. And now Bryant playing in his 65th game as a big leaguer. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Led all of professional baseball last year with 43 home runs in the minor leagues, AA and AAA.
Well, you mentioned well documented the fact he did not start the year in the opening day roster. I couldn't believe the controversy about it because it made no sense to carry him on the opening day roster. By keeping him down for, 11, 12 days, you gain an extra year of control of Chris Bryant. If you're a Cubs fan, what's better than that? You want to trade 11 days for a year? Of course.
Well,
right fielder for the Cardinals, Jason Hayward, the exact opposite. The Braves carried him opening day, started his clock earlier. They only had 4 years. They traded him a year ahead of free agency, which he is this year eligible for free agency. Huge difference.
I get all the numbers. I understand that. But I thought for our game, for baseball, as a industry, when a player is ready to the big leagues, he should be in the big leagues. And I know that doesn't go or chime with how we're trying to hold on to players and different things like that. But I think you don't see it in other sports. And I think sometimes that's why we're losing the fans that you do for baseball, and they clamor to the other sports because you watch a guy play on a Saturday and he's in the NFL on Sunday. That's just the way it is. And when you have that opportunity for guys, when you get this kind of momentum, and he's ready and he's done everything he should do, he should be in the big leagues.
That may be good in your backyard wiffle ball games there in Oregon, but this is the business of baseball. This is a collectively bargained agreement between the players and the owners. They've agreed on this system. You want to change it? I'm sure it'll come up the next time around. About a year away from having more negotiations about the next CBA. Sure, go ahead and bargain it. But as we stand now, it's common business sense. Cubs would be reckless if they started this guy at opening day based on how the system is set up.
I totally agree. And we need to change the system. If we want to move the game forward and continue to be a game that's in the limelight in the forefront, we got to rectify that. I think we're in a time right now where I marvel watching Chris Bryant or Correa in Houston or these young talents where the game is turned over. This is a young man's game, and we got generational players in the big leagues. This doesn't happen that often for guys to jump from A ball to the big leagues like they're doing at a rate like now and be successful. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't. And that shows the uniqueness of the players that we have. So I think in protecting the industry moving forward, we're moving the draft finally where it's people want to have some interest in it. You want to get these guys to the big leagues, when we got to rectify that. Holding them back, it kills the momentum of the sport. That's all I got to say on it. And why are you dogging my wiffle ball game in Oregon? I'm upset about that.
You didn't have to deal with the CBA in your league out there in the backyard.
Now, as Tom alluded to, it will benefit the Cubs on the back end under the current system.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And it was only 11 days, but who knows if the Cubs win a couple of those games that they lost, had Bryant been up? We'll never know.
I'm not playing that game. Play 162, and that's the 1 or 2 that would decide either way.
Montero, did he go around? He did. Inning comes to an end. Middle of the 8th in St. Louis. St. Louis is sponsored by Mazda Driving Batters and by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. 8-1 Cardinals over the Cubs. Kenny Albert, Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal. This is Pete Kozma. He will bat for Johnny Peralta against Edwin Jackson, leading off for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. Kozma batting just 140 this season, 8 hits in 57 at-bats.
Well, this is where if you're Kozma, you go, all right, tomorrow's Sunday. I'm going to get one at-bat here. Hopefully I play tomorrow.
On the first pitch, he flies out to Fowler for out number 1.
You know, watching Edwin Jackson pitch, you saw Max Scherzer throw that no-hitter, near perfect game. I think about Edwin's no-hitter in 2010, pitching for Arizona. There's Scherzer. What a line he's got from his last 3 starts. Unbelievable. That strikeout to walk ratio, he's making it look like a video game. But Edwin Jackson threw 149 pitches with the same man who's behind the plate right now. Adrian Johnson was behind the plate for that game. Edwin walked 8 batters through 149 pitches against Joe Madden's Rays.
Reminiscent of the A.J. Burnett no-hitter.
Yeah, A.J. is all over the place. The night he threw a no-no.
By the way, how about this? The last 11 no-hitters have been thrown by National League pitchers.
Wow.
We're speechless.
Yeah.
That's freakish.
Last to do it in the American League was Felix Hernandez. Perfect game back in 2012. But since then, 11 consecutive no-hitters thrown by NL pitchers.
I'll tell you the most impressive no-hitter there might ever have been thrown by a Cubs pitcher. Ken Holtzman threw a no-hitter with no strikeouts.
Wow.
We never see that happen again, especially in today's game.
No. Wow. You guys got me speechless up here. Wow, that's deep.
It doesn't happen too often, does it?
So you're catching on, huh?
There's Tony Cruz in the on-deck circle. How many no-hitters did you play in?
We got no-hit once, a combination no-hitter, Mike Witt and Mark Langston. I was in Randy Johnson's first no-hitter. Played behind him. I think that's all I can remember. Brian Holman had a perfect game, 8 2/3. Ken Phelps pinch hit, home run to end it. That's it. Who knows? You're afraid to talk nowadays because they'll dig the stats up on you in a minute. That's not true. You know?
Sure, somebody's already all over it.
Before everybody's all on the numbers, like I said, you know, I played in about 7 or 8 of them. Really? Wow.
Look at it. There's Castro. And Hayward is retired for the first time tonight. He had reached base in his 4 previous plate appearances.
Hit the ball hard right there, too. Had a pretty good night at the plate, Jason Hurdman.
So now Tony Cruz will bat for Molina. 10 hits in 49 at-bats for Cruz this season.
This guy's had a pretty good apprenticeship here, huh? For years, backing up Yadi Molina. Not a lot of playing time. But a lot of knowledge to be gained from one of the best in the game.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to figure out a way to get him in the lineup a little bit more and give Yadi some days here and there. And so, sometimes it's hard because I know you're trying to keep pushing Yadi back there and you got that comfort zone, but I think Mike Matheny understands that as well as anybody, that we got to give Yadi a blow here and there and get Tony in.
Maybe even playing Yadi a little bit at first base.
Yeah.
Matheny telling us in spring training he's got some of his backup infielders training as catchers just for those emergencies.
Including Greg Garcia, who hit the big homer last night. 1-2-3, 8th for Jackson, who moved to the 9th. 8-1 Cards. Ball, but on one night, they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Tuesday, July 14th, right here on Fox. Starlin Castro leading off against Carlos Villanueva. Tony Cruz takes over for Molina behind the plate. Pete Kozma remains in the game at short. Castro with the last Cubs hit back in the 4th inning. Slow roller foul off to the left side. By the way, Tom, you'll be happy to learn that they did change the pass ball back in the 7th inning to the wild pitch. So no pass ball for Molina, who thought his night was over, but he goes out to warm up Villanueva between innings.
Come on, Yachty, take it in. Relax. Put your feet up. Take a seat in that Barca lounger in the clubhouse. They took you out of the game to rest you, and you're out there squatting, warming up the pitcher.
But he's happy he lost that pass ball.
Yeah, that's a good scoring change. All in favor of that one.
Oh, look at him change the motion on it. Here we are in a 8-1 game in the 9th, and he slide steps him. He short strided him right there.
Well, you see this a lot with hitters who have kind of a busy setup the way that Castro has. There's a lot going on. Guys with high leg kicks and all this going on with his setup. You can get the ball by him.
You force him to change his at bat too, his approach.
Well, he's going for the save, Villanueva, if he completes this inning. It's his 3rd inning.
Here it is. Watch this.
In relief.
Watch him change his motion. Oh, I'm coming at you, quick pitch.
It's just like an infielder picking up the ball and checking it.
He gets a save in this.
Wow. In an 8-1 game, if he goes 3.
There's just some numbers that don't make any sense. Like a guy gets on an air and he's standing on first base, but he doesn't get an on base. These guys don't get a day off.
Randy Choate, left-hander, and Miguel Sokolovich, the right-hander, at the Cardinals pen.
I had to double take and look at the scoreboard. I'm like, I thought we were in the 9th.
Oh. 2 balls, 2 strikes with Castro at the plate. Coughlin on deck. Cardinals lead the Cubs 8-1. Cardinals looking to become the first team in the majors to win 50 this season. Record of 49-24. Ground ball to the left side. Handled by Kozma. 1 away.
Kenny, the pitching numbers are what really impressed me. It's game number 74 for the Cardinals. They have allowed the fewest runs at this point in the season, nearly halfway there, since the mound was lowered in 1969. Of course, that was all Bob Gibson's fault. He was too good for baseball. They had to lower the mound after that 68 season. Think about that. Going back to 1969, the run prevention for the Cardinals, the best of any team.
Wow.
The great Gibby.
Bob's in town tomorrow for Ozzie Smith's got a golf tournament coming up. Reggie Jackson, Bob Gibson, they're coming in Monday. Ozzie's golf tournament. Signing autographs tomorrow here locally. Be back in Jersey. Oh.
Second hit of the night for Coughlin.
Yes. See that right there, they'll go, oh, Cosmo's not ranging like he should. He's been sitting on the bench for 8 innings.
Never mind, the ball was on the right side of second base. He ran a mile to get there.
So now Mike Baxter, who is 0 for 2 with a walk following his 3-hit game last night. 1 out, top of the 9th inning. Great job by our entire crew tonight here in St. Louis, led by producer Pete Macheska, director Bill Webb, associate director Chirag Devaskar, broadcast associate Sam Younger. Our technical producer is Matt Benedict, technical director Gabe Bell. Marty Aronoff crunching the numbers along with Wayne Fiddleman.
All right. Marty's been crunching numbers for you for a long time, huh?
Yes, he has.
Man.
crunches numbers in his sleep.
Yes. Captain Crunch.
By the way, we were talking about no-hitters earlier. How about the play that Mike Baxter made in Johan Santana's no-hitter, the first ever by a New York Met pitcher?
Unbelievable catch. Really gave up his body literally, but he had a broken collarbone. Remember that ball hit down the line against the Cardinals? It probably was a fair ball, called foul. The umpire was Adrian Johnson behind the plate tonight.
Wow.
Bounce to the right side. Baxter beats the throw, so now 2 away, comes down to their final out.
Yeah, you just get one here.
It's kind of like the neighborhood play at first base. Villanueva not able to find the bag. I'm not sure he had him anyway. In the neighborhood, somewhat.
I was surprised that Cosma made the throw. That's the one that gets you in trouble. You come in, you got a nice little night going for you, and you got the pitcher trying to cover there, throw a ball away.
Jonathan Herrera pinch hitting for Edwin Jackson.
46,000 here tonight. Another Cardinal great turnout.
16th sellout of the season. 0-1.
Boy, and they go home happy, don't they? These fans here, team now, if this holds up, not going out on a limb there.
Well, they've gone home
28-7.
Yeah, they've gone home happy 27 times in 34 home games. Cardinals will send 8-game winner Carlos Martinez to the mound tomorrow night against Jason Hamill in the series finale.
And another series the Cardinals will win over the Cubs.
They'll meet 19 times this year. Cardinals have won 5 of the first 7.
Oof. I'll be curious how the scheduling for Major League Baseball changes moving forward. 19 times against one team, that's just too much in one season. And the squeeze week of the interleague is kind of forcing that. We'll see. I think some changes are coming.
The 1-2 from Villanueva. Herrera swings and misses. Ball game is over. Cardinals win it 8-1. Their 5th consecutive victory. St. Louis goes to 50-24. First team in baseball to win 50 games here in 2015. Michael Wacha wins for the 10th time this season. Second in the National League. Cardinals 8 and the Cubs 1. Here at Busch. More after this.